Want a chance to win your own free No Weather Radio? All you gotta do is subscribe to the channel and you're automatically registered. Now, on to the video. Welcome back, everybody, to the Weather Nerds YouTube channel. I'm your host, Greg Majeski, your personal weatherman, here with a tropical update, one of many I'm sure I'll be tracking here through the 2024 hurricane season. Before we get into this, again, I want to thank all the new subscribers, up to 3,706 of you. A lot of you come on here with some of our live coverage. And if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, please consider it. It does help with YouTube algorithm, so please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content. And if you're already a subscriber, again, please give me a thumbs up. Helps with the algorithm there, and please share with your family and friends as we try to get this critical weather information out to as many people as possible. Now, what you saw there in the thumbnail, talking about the boiling point in the tropics. Boy, the water out there is running well above normal. We're going to talk more about that here in greater detail, but I do want to point out here first, again, that official forecast that was released last week from the National Hurricane Center, which is predicting, again, a very active season between 17 and 25 named storms. In fact, there have been some individual forecasts out there going as high as 33, and if that was to happen, we would break the record number of 31 named storms back in 2020. So just a reminder again, here are the names for the 2024 season. We're going to kick off things with Alberto. Right now, not imminent, but that'll be the first named storm of the season. So let's go ahead and talk about the above normal temperatures that are across the world right now, the world stage. A couple things I do want to highlight. Now, typically as you go into the month of June, that's when you see the tornado activity start to settle down, but I'm not so sure that's going to happen. And what's caught my eye here is just how warm it is, abnormally so, here across the northern Pacific. So those warmer waters, any of the storm systems that are still going across the jet stream there across the northern tier could be a little invigorated because of that. So the tornado season may not be wrapping up into June. We'll watch that closely throughout the month of June. Now, obviously, we're talking about the tropics in the Atlantic. Obviously, we're talking about La Nina. This is the upwelling of cooler water there in the eastern Pacific. Why is that important? Well, it's important because the environment in the Atlantic becomes much more just a great environment for tropical development because it doesn't have to deal with those high winds blowing across the Atlantic when you've got warmer waters there, like with an El Nino setup. We don't have that, so it'll be weaker winds across the Atlantic. It allows these tropical systems to bring that warmer air at the surface and evacuate out the top. It's one big giant heat engine. And that's what tropical systems do. When you get a buildup of heat in the tropics, it likes to transport that excess heat to the poles to kind of keep the planet in balance. And of course, the last thing out there, obviously, is we've got these warmer waters here across the Atlantic as well as out into the Gulf of Mexico. Now, as we take a look at the Atlantic anomaly here, we're looking at the ocean heat content in the main development area. That's between 10 and 20 degrees north and 85 to 20 degrees west. That's the prime zones where the tropical activity gets going. And as you look at the track here, we're tracking fairly close to where we were last year at this time, but not where we're supposed to be. And you look at the average here, we're kind of tracking water temperature wise where we would kind of see there into August. So definitely running above normal for sure for this time of year. As we look closely at the Gulf of Mexico, we look here predominantly for June because this is typically where the hot spot is going to be. And you can see temperatures down here in the Bay of Campeche here running into above 85 degrees. The southeast portion of the Gulf of Mexico is also looking quite warm. In fact, water temperatures around Key West are getting pretty close to 90 degrees out that way. So there's plenty of fuel for the fire for anything tropical. Should anything develop in the Gulf of Mexico, it's definitely plenty of fuel there for these storms to feed off. Again, climatologically speaking, it's the Gulf of Mexico, that's that area there in blue, and going up the eastern seaboard, up to, say, the mid-Atlantic. That's our predominant zone here for possible tropical development, historically speaking, through the month of June. Now, because of how warm things are out into the Atlantic, wouldn't surprise me if we get something a little bit further out, but we'll see how it goes as we progress through the month. Now, the latest from the National Hurricane Center as far as going into the upcoming weekend, again, June 1st is the start of the hurricane season, and right now nothing's imminent over the next couple of days, so it looks like it's going to be pretty quiet there for the time being. Now, we'll say this much. As we look at the North Atlantic Oscillation, and we're going to talk about the model data and stuff here in a minute, you notice that we're kind of sitting here in a negative phase. That's below that center line right there. And when it's in a negative phase, that means we've got a bit of a trophiness in the east. And that can act as a bit of deflector for anything tropical out in the Atlantic. Now, anything that should develop, say, in the Gulf of Mexico, when we got this kind of trough in place, then it can act as a bit of a magnet and pull storms north into, the southeastern portion of the United States. So I'm going to watch the North Atlantic Oscillation as well as where the tropical activity gets started as we progress through the upcoming hurricane season. Now, currently looking at the satellite imagery out there right now, it is pretty quiet out there for the most part. We've got a couple of waves, here and there. You can see the intertropical convergence zone out here, and you got a little area down here across portions of the Caribbean, but nothing imminent. And keep in mind, like I just showed you there with the North Atlantic Oscillation being in a negative phase, that means we're going to have a pretty active storm track here coming off the eastern seaboard, and that's going to, again, act as a bit of a deflector from some of these storms. So let's go ahead and take a look at the latest model data. This is the latest GFS American model data here through the tropics. And we're going to kind of watch how things kind of progress here. The thing I did catch my eye here initially was looked like some cluster storms here trying to get developed here across portions of the western Caribbean. But it looks like this is going to get pulled northward and kind of get pulled off with that trough that's up to its north. So it's going to kind of stream this thing out and just kind of pull it right on out. You kind of see it stretching out here and kind of getting pulled up into the middle of the Atlantic. So nothing imminent there as we go through the next several days. This is going to the 5th of June right there. Time cube again is in that top right-hand corner. So, but notice this storm track here coming off the eastern seaboard. We got quite a few bit of storms here with a bit of this trophiness here across the east. So this is going to act as a bit of a deflector or protection for the time being. Should anything tropical develop. Right now, it doesn't show anything that's imminent there. There is something here later in the model run here as we go further off. Looks like something tries to develop here off the eastern seaboard here, right there. See that little coming off here? And this is way out. Of course, this is probably going to change. This is looking around the 12th or so of June. And it's right in that area, kind of on the top end of that what we're just showing you there, again, on the climate outlook for June. Maybe we get some sort of hybrid system there as we head toward, say, the 13th, and then this quickly kind of moves on out to sea. So we'll see if that actually holds up or not. Again, very far out, likely will change before we get there. The one thing I do see is a fairly active intertropical convergence zone, but for right now, it needs to get further north. It needs to really kind of move further north into about that 10 degrees latitude. It's still kind of sitting closer to the equator for right now. So as we go deeper in throughout the month, into the summer months, that'll begin to shift, obviously, further and further off toward the north. So just keep in mind, again, we're kind of in the tail end of the start of the season, so we're very low, but the peak of the hurricane season comes in around September the 10th. So as we go between 1 August and 1 October, that's where things are going to really kind of get fired up. I just think as we go into July and August, we may see more activity than we typically do just because of just how warm it is out into the Atlantic as well as into the Gulf of Mexico. All right, that is your report for this edition. Again, if you enjoyed the report and you'd like to get future updates like these so you can kind of keep them in your back pocket, make sure it's in your display system there on YouTube, all you got to do is subscribe to the channel. Again, hit that notification bell so you learn on future content. And tell me what you think. Again, this product is for you guys. If there's something specifically you would like to see to be included in this report, please leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. All right, that'll do for this edition. You guys take it easy. This is going to be one of many tropical reports you're going to get throughout the year. Till then, you guys have a great weekend. Be good, stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.